All right, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Good evening and welcome. Today is December 16th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the City Council chambers here in Marion. I welcome everyone in attendance and those watching online. We're going to call the meeting to order, like I said, and begin with prayer with Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
I ask that you please stand. Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for this evening. Thank you for this meeting. Let's have a good meeting and do the best work for the city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. And Councilman Marshall is absent tonight, so we're going to have Councilman Kane lead the pledge.
Join with me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Here.
Marshall, Fordyce,
Here.
Brunner,
Here.
Klein,
Here.
Devine, Witten, Cowgill,
Here.
McKinley.
Here. We're going to move into tonight's Community Spotlight. And tonight we have the honor of spotlighting none other than Nanny's Playroom. You could probably say it different ways, and little kids will say it different ways as well. But we'll get some clarity on that. Jessica, the owner of Nanny's Playroom, if you want to go ahead and make your way up front. She can come up too. Come all the way up front here. Right here, you get front and center. Yeah, no. Anyways, so welcome to the City Council meeting. And some people are aware of your new business in town. I would hope everyone is aware of it. But it's super exciting. So you recently opened this playroom over on the bypass, 1206 North Baldwin. Some might remember it as the old Boutique 125. But can you share with us exactly what you're providing at this playroom?
Yeah, so the playroom is for ages 8 and under. That's kind of our age range that we provide for. We are a space for families to come and play together. We've got lots of toys. We've got a little tiny town that we have built, and it gives a lot of room for imaginative play and it's just very play motivated. We're very, very play motivated, very hands-on. So yeah, we want to encourage a community to, we want to build a little community with our playroom, and we also offer birthday parties, and it's just a safe, fun, clean environment for families to come and play.
That's great. So you said birthday parties. Can people reserve it, do private reservations?
Yes.
Is there a separate room?
Yes, we have a party room available, and we have different party options. So we have like a regular play where you can come in during business hours and have a birthday party then, or we actually offer it privately as well after hours. So if you want to have a private birthday party, you're welcome to do that as well. And we offer lots of different add-ons and decoration options and all that kind of stuff too.
So with the party, like, can Nick be, or is it just for kids?
Yeah, it's for kids.
If he brings a kid.
Yeah. If you don't, we're concerned. Well, we really appreciate you investing. I was kind of watching the evolution and construction of it online, and there was a lot of work put into this and a lot of thought. And in a world today where it's so easy just to give a child a device, and we're starting to see studies where it's actually very harmful to your health and the kids' health and their brain development, this is a perfect solution where they're getting hands-on. It keeps them off of screens, and they learn social interaction. That seems to be something that we're seeing less and less of. When your eyes are stuck on a device, we're all guilty of it.
Yeah.
You tend to interact less with other people. So this is so critical for development for kids, and we're just really appreciative that you opened this, because as we can all attest to, a lot of things we hear of end up there's nothing to do for kids. There's nothing to do for kids, and I wish we had a place to take our kids. And this is a prime opportunity to get your kids out. Sure, it's not free, but nothing's free. If you want something free, you can go to the city park in the summer. But even then, that's not free. Your taxpayer dollars are paying for that. So in order to pay the heat and insurance and electricity and all of that, it costs money. And so can you tell us kind of what does it cost? What's it look like to come in?
Yeah, so it's $12 per child to play, and there is no time limit. So you can stay as long as you want. That also includes 2 free adults, so adults don't have to pay to come. And yeah, that you get to play as long as you want.
Okay, so $12 is like a day pass, essentially.
It's like a day pass. Yeah, you can't leave the facility
Right.
and come back, but you're absolutely welcome to stay as long as you want. And we do allow like outside food and drink. So
Okay.
if you want to even have, McDonald's delivered,
Yeah.
you can do
Or
that.
walk across
And-
the street and get
Right,
McDonald's.
yeah.
Well, you don't want to
We
leave your
have-
kids, so yeah.
Right, please don't do that. But we've got tables and chairs available for families to sit at and have a snack. We also offer snacks and coffee. And then we've also got like couches and comfortable seating for parents to sit
Oh,
at.
nice.
So they can
Okay.
relax a little bit while their kids are running around playing with other kids.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think I know the answer to this, but I'm sure this is not a daycare. You cannot drop your kids off here. You must
No.
stay with them, correct?
Yes, you must stay with your child,
Okay,
yes.
good deal.
Yep.
Well, I just wanted to put this picture up here too. I saw today that you won a really amazing award. Tell us about this award.
I did. I entered into a contest for the First Light Child Advocacy Center.
Yes.
They had a cookie making competition, and I entered some cookies in, and I actually won first place. So,
Wow, well, congratulations.
Yeah.
I want to know how you get on that
And I
judge.
got a really big trophy. So
Yeah.
that was really cool.
How do we sign up to be a judge? That's what I want to know. Gosh, where was I at? Well, anyways, thank you so much for investing in Marion, investing in our kids, and we're just really excited, want this to succeed and help get the word out that this is available. And the Boutique 125 sign is still up, so
It is. Yes.
don't be
Landmark right there.
fooled and tricked. It is not Boutique 125, but if you see the sign, you know you found, how do you say it, nannies?
Nannies.
Nannies, okay.
Nani's Playroom. Yep.
Yeah, there's nannies and nannies out there, it depends on the kids. So
Yep.
we want to know, nannies, we know it's like Mater Park, right, Mike? Nani's Playroom is, and you can find them on Facebook. Please follow them on Facebook. I know you post updates sometimes if there's a schedule change or whatever. Are you open Monday through Sunday? Tell us your.
Yes, so I'm open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then Saturday from 9 to 4.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we do have the private party option available for after hours, including Sundays.
That's
So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting. And predominantly 8 and under, but if you have an 8-year-old and then a 10-year-old comes, I mean, is there like a hard cutoff on an age?
There's not a hard cutoff
Okay.
of an age. I've had some 10 and 11-year-olds come in and play, and they've had a blast.
Okay.
So it's definitely not an age cutoff. The only thing is we have a 48-inch height requirement to go down. We have some larger play structures and cars.
Okay.
So there's a height limit for those things, but
Good deal.
with everything else.
Well, that makes Councilman Calgill eligible then, so we
Yeah.
appreciate that. So, good deal. Well, appreciate it. Any final words you want to share?
This is a very big heart project of mine. I grew up, born and raised in Marion, and I really want to grow this community, and I'm very proud of Marion, and I'm proud to see small businesses come up and be supported, and I have a few other small businesses as well, and it's amazing to see the community come together and support it, and it's really, really important. And also I want to thank my parents and my family, because we built this. We did not hire out anything.
Yeah.
We built this from the ground up with our hands. So it was a very long journey, quick journey really, but some long days, and I just really appreciate them. So.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Any council members want to add anything? Councilman Calgill?
Yeah, Jessica, to me, you're a prime example. We talk about our kids that grew up here and everything. We want to keep them here. We don't want them going out. You're a prime example of this. I applaud you for reinvesting back in Marion, staying here. Obviously, you come from a good family, your mom, but, okay, you too, Mike. All right, brother. But thank you, seriously. I wish you all the success in the world.
Thank you.
And that's pretty cheap, I think. $12 for a whole day. That's a very reasonable price.
Yeah, it's cheaper than a trampoline park and cheaper than Chuck E. Cheese and yeah. So appreciate it. And it's right here. You can drive down the street. So any other council members? Yes.
How many hours do they get for that, that $12?
The whole day. They could stay
Wow.
from 9 to 5 if they want. Yeah, they could stay the whole day.
So that may be almost like $1 an hour. That's a pretty good price.
Yeah.
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 Good deal. All right. Well, appreciate it. Everyone give her a round of applause again. Thank you. And of course, we always have to get a photo, so you're welcome to, we need to stand in the front if you want to bring anyone up that helped you along the way. Have them come on up, except for one person, but that's all right. We only pick on the ones we like. So come on up, council members, and yeah, bring the family up.
I'm gonna get over here. Hang on.
Brian tried to already.
Okay. All right, ready to go? All right, then you were, Jessica, you were mentioning something about the closet.
Yes.
Tell us about this closet.
This is something that I came up with. The community, I've asked the community to come and donate any gently used toys or coats, books, anything like that. And I've provided a space for us to display all of these items for families to come in and shop the closet for free for Christmas. We've had a ton of donations from the community, a lot of community support, which has been incredible. We've also had some monetary support as well, which has given us the option to go out and buy new toys to put in the closet. And yeah, it just, anybody that's in need or, wants to come in and shop the closet, they're more than welcome to do so.
Well, appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
That's so nice. Great thinking. So thank you so much, and we wish you the best. And I'm sure we'll, I have some grandkids, so we might be seeing them here soon with the grandkids.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much,
Thank
Jessica.
you.
All right. Okay, and on the agenda, there's not a city employee spotlight. However, there's somebody in the room that we are spotlighting tonight, and we just didn't tell them because I like to surprise people. So we do actually have a city employee spotlight tonight, and she had no idea that we were going to spotlight her because she does, or she helps with the agenda and makes the agenda. So I didn't want to tip her off on that so she could avoid coming to the meeting and call off sick. So Aisha has been on the radar for a couple months now. We actually did spotlight her last year, so she's actually, we'll say, a first repeat on this, but absolutely deserved. And Aisha, come up here. You got to step away for a minute. So Aisha is the deputy city clerk, and so our dear Debbie Goodman she was off quite a bit this summer and on and off. And I can say this because it's in her comments, due to health issues. And so Aisha just really kind of filled that role. And if you noticed in meetings for quite a while, she was the only one here taking notes. It's a lot of work to manage Councilman Calgill and take the notes and do the agenda. And so, but anyways, so she actually was recommended to me because I don't work in that department every day. And talking to Debbie and Crystal, who's the second deputy, they really, really wanted to spotlight her again. And I'll just read the comments that were given to me. So Debbie Goodman, our city clerk, said, "What can I say about Aisha that I haven't already said before and continue to say? She's a wonderful employee, very trustworthy, dependable, reliable, a hard worker, and she knows her stuff. With her being all of these things, it has made it so much easier for me to be out of the office and off work, dealing with my health issues. And to top it off, she's a great friend. If I have done nothing else right in the 2 years I've been the city clerk, asking Aisha to come work for me is definitely something I did do right." And then Crystal, who's a newer addition to the clerk's office, she's the second deputy, said, "I would like to say I'm very thankful for Aisha and her hard work and dedication to our office. It means a lot to me. She stepped up when Debbie got sick and without missing a step. I'm very thankful for her friendship since coming to the clerk's office." So lots of kudos to you, Aisha. It's sometimes a stressful job being in the clerk's office, and especially when you're having to wear multiple hats. I work with Aisha all the time, or she has to put up with me all the time. I'm pretty easy to work with, but as the council president, you're constantly communicating with the clerk's office and the agenda and other things that are coming their way. So she's very easy to work with, very easy to communicate with. Everything I've asked her to do, she does it. I'll say with a smile, but I like her sense of humor because she has no problem giving it back to me, but I like it. It keeps us on our toes, but in a good way. So I really appreciate you, and I know Debbie and Crystal really appreciate you more than you know. And I know you really don't like the spotlight, but you got it today. So any council members want to share anything else? Aisha, anything you want to say?
No, that's shocker. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Well,
I just enjoy my job.
Yeah.
I just do my job. That's it.
well, we really appreciate you. I know you just say you do your job, but you do it well. And you stepped into this role almost 2 years ago and taken it and run with it. And we really, really appreciate your service.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Let's get a picture. Everyone give Aisha a round of applause. Let's get a photo. Okay. No, I'm not reusing it. You got your hair highlighted. Yeah. You look different.
No, it's your turn again.
When you get your hair highlighted. Okay. You're awesome. Appreciate it. Good job, Don.
Thanks.
Now get back to work. There's sometimes that, I put feelers out for city employee spotlights, but sometimes they just come to me, and this one just came to me, and of course I had no problem saying yes. So, okay, moving on to the consent agenda, approval of minutes of the regular meeting, November 18th, 2025, and December 2nd, 2025, consideration of pre-approved claims, and consideration of claims. Any discussion? If not, I would entertain a motion. Or,
I just have a couple on.
Yeah, once you talk.
I just had a couple questions. Okay, I'm done. Sorry. For Dana on some of these bills for CF Building Solutions on the sidewalks downtown, are those going to be encumbered because I know they're not done?
One of them. The only one that's
That's okay.
the only one that's not
Dana.
around the square.
Dana, you've changed your voice. Well, because it's not on the encumbrance list. So I don't want to release that. I think it's $116,000 CNF for the 911 building. That's up to be paid, and it's not done. It's not even started. No, it's not. So I would like to encumber that at this point in time. If you've got it separated out from that check because you have several of them in there. Do we have an issue with that?
Or,
So for the record, it would be and that's for around the 911 building that the county gave us ARP 94, correct? Okay. So for the record, on check number 60841 for CF Building Solutions, it would be out of fund account number 465000399.090, downtown remodel, 50/50 sidewalks downtown area in the amount of $116,001.74. I would like that encumbered and not paid.
could you come up to the mic, if you're going to, just for the minutes and the record, we need you to come up to the mic.
So I was asked not to encumber. So what we were going to do was there's a $30,000, which is the amount for that area at the square that's in that total. We were just holding the check. So the controller's office was going to cut it, but we're not going to pay it until they're done with the work. The remainder of the work that's already in that $100 and some thousand has already been done. So if you
Are you talking about on the courthouse that they did?
correct.
That was the $26,563 that they've got separated out for both sides of the courthouse.
Correct.
Yeah, that's separate.
Yes, but the other, the $100 and some thousand is also part of the 50/50 sidewalk, which has nothing to do with the downtown project. So they had $176,000.
$225,286
Right.
is what the check's for.
Correct. And out of that, 30,000 and some odd change was for the 9/11 that's not done. So we actually have that, even though you have it all on there, it's a separate check. They will not go to them.
It's all on one check, Mike.
Yeah,
According to
if it's
this.
that way.
According to what I get.
It won't be that way. Because that was, when we sent it over to the controller's office, we split it out and had Trixie put a hold on that amount because we needed to encumber the money because it wasn't a revolving. And Linda asked me not to encumber. She said, just get the invoice. We would turn the invoice in and then we'd hold the check. So that's why you're probably seeing it all on the one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's all split out, so if you could just, are you saying the $116,000 is not for the sidewalks that aren't done?
Correct. They are done. No, the only thing that is in that total amount that's not done is $30,000. That's at the 9/11 building.
Okay,
Everything else
I
is
don't have
done.
one. The $30,000 that I've got says concretes and downtown area waterproofing portion.
Correct. That's it.
Okay, so
That's the waterproofing.
So that's for down 18
nine-
and down Washington Street for the 911
Correct.
building.
And it's only on Washington. They did on 18 a couple of years ago, so we're just doing it in front of the building.
Okay.
So, yes. Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
So then we don't want to hold the whole check,
Well,
because
we're
then the
not-
work that's been done won't get paid then, is that correct or no?
It's
We will need to hold the
completely
30.
separated out. The total check is $225,286. I just split out.
Right.
It won't be $116,000. Mike has corrected that. It would be for the $30,780. Is that correct? Correct. Okay. So if we could encumber that, that would be item number 70218 on the invoice for $30,780. So I will amend my encumbrance from 1160174 to $30,780 for CF Building Solutions.
Councilman Kane, you had a.
Mr. President, I think that was the whole point of them not wanting it to be encumbered, that there's a separate check they're holding on to for without that encumbrance. We don't want to encumber that check and push it into the next year. We want it on the books for this year, not encumber it, but we will hold on to the check until the work is done. They're shaking their heads yes.
And I don't know if I missed it, but is there an estimated time frame on that getting done? Springtime, okay.
You-
So, Vice President Fordyce, are you
No,
making a
I'm
motion?
I'm
or-
asking for it to be encumbered because you can only hold a city municipal check for 90 days.
Well, then essentially, I don't know about the 90 days.
I think that's true, but we should
Okay.
be starting before March.
Okay.
We would be starting before the 90 days ran out.
Well, we have Dana and Linda in here now. Dana and Linda, would you like to add to this or kind of clarify? I know, Linda, you just walked in. I just want to get a little more understanding, that's all, before I would make a decision. And if we were to do it, we would have to make a motion to not approve it in the claims and then add it
Correct.
to the encumbrances.
Correct.
So that's why I'm
Yes.
clarifying the motion part
Sure.
of it if we were to do it.
Understand clearly.
I'll give them a moment. Maybe, Linda, if you could come up to the mic, just for the minutes, we got to have on a record who's speaking. Not some phantom person in the audience. All right, good timing, thanks for coming in. So, turn the microphone on for me.
We don't have to encumber the money. We don't have to, we can void that check and reissue it. The money is in a separate fund and it has to be used just for that. So we can void the check out and reissue it in next year if we want to do that.
Sure. So what I'm reading on my invoices, accounts payable register, is it's under one check. The total amount is separated into 6, 7 different projects. It's under one check number. So Mike was saying it's separate checks for
No.
each job, or it's under one check? Because I've got a total amount on the check.
Did we put them all together underneath one?
That's
So-
not the way that I presented it to Trixie. I had a separate voucher for it, so she may have just put it all together. So I guess we would have to take that amount that you're showing, Councilman Fordyce, and decrease the 30,000 of it, cut a check for that, and then hold the check or reissue the check.
Reissue the 30,000.
Yeah, but that shouldn't have happened. I don't see it once it leaves my office, and if she lumped them all into one check, that was not, because we'd actually put, like, hold on that voucher, and I don't know why it went together.
Okay.
That I can't answer, so.
So this is the final accounts payable ledger, am I correct?
It is.
Okay. So it says
So
one.
if it's the same vendor and she put it all underneath.
Do you want to look at it?
One, sure.
I just want to make sure I'm right.
She put it all underneath one. Yeah. And it's to the same vendor. The computer automatically puts it together, so she would have, we can void the check out, take out the 30,000 and just issue it for that amount.
Okay.
Can you, well, for purposes, go back to the microphone so we can get you on record,
Yeah.
sorry.
So how long would it be until that you would need another check then?
For the 30,000 or for the for the 30,000? Whenever the job is
Done.
complete. Yeah, whenever the job is complete.
My hope is in March.
Somewhere in March then, so we're talking at least 3 months.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
So for clarity, I mean, it's one check, the way it was, the software put it together. So if we were to approve it today, if you were wanting to hold the 30,000, you have to hold the whole check, correct?
Void the check.
No, what we're going to do is we can void the check out and reissue it for the amount less the 30,000.
Correct.
Okay.
And the money doesn't have to be encumbered because it's in its own
Okay.
fund. It's not a it's in a non-reverting fund, so it just keeps rolling over.
So could we still approve it today and with,
Not that amount.
could we still approve it today with you voiding the check and reissuing it for 30,000 less without us changing anything on the consent agenda? Is what I'm asking. Like,
Yes, yes.
I'm trying to figure out which avenues we can go here. If Vice President Fordyce wants to cut that 30,000 out, what's the legal and best way to do this, in your opinion?
All the funds, let me look at that, because I don't know what funds you put it in.
There was 50/50 amounts, then there was council amounts of 50/50, and then there was the downtown project.
We would have to either encumber all of the money, because some of the money is in the general fund, some of it is out of the edit fund, and then the other part of it is out of the non-reverting fund that just
Thank
continues
you.
to roll over. So we can come in the first council meeting in January and have all those encumbrances. We already presented some encumbrances, but we can have another encumbrance presented at the first meeting in January.
For that total amount, because they're,
Yes. And take off the $30,000.
is there an expectation from the contractor that they receive some of this payment within a certain period of time? Like, would we be? I mean, I don't want to encumber all of it and risk the contractor not getting paid and it creating issues, and so I don't know how you're looking at it. How could it possibly be handled?
We can reissue the check for $30,000 less with your approval.
So if
If
we
you're-
approve the consent agenda today with that amount, you could still, even though we approve that amount, you can void that and reissue it less?
Correct.
Would you need to then come back to the council to request the remaining amount, or since we already approved it, you're authorized to go ahead and pay the 30,000 when it's ready?
We'll bring it back to you, because it'll be part of the next checks they'll be written whenever the job is to be paid. If
In the
I
next
would have known
packet.
this before, like tonight, we could have did this earlier today and had it all done, but yes, we can reissue the check for $30,000 less with your approval.
Vice President Fordyce, what do you think?
I would agree to that.
I would second that.
Okay. So essentially what I'm hearing is that, well, I guess I would still need a motion. I have not heard an official motion yet.
Marty?
Need a motion to amend.
Well, I don't know if we're amending it. We're just going off the word they're going to void the check, right? This isn't, I don't think we need to amend it, because we're not changing the check amount on face value, but they are telling us they're going to void it after we approve it, reissue it for the lesser amount. Is that correct?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
So I think really at just this point, if everyone's in consensus, we could just take a motion to approve the consent agenda, unless you have something else?
No, that's all I have on that, on the accounts payable.
Okay, yeah.
Sure. Thank you.
So then I would still entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion to approve it by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Klein. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, consent agenda is approved. Moving into committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? Councilwoman Devine.
Okay, so the Board of Works met yesterday, and they approved the purchasing agreement parameters that I brought up that they were discussing from the previous meeting regarding how to handle it for federal funding and grants and making sure that everybody had the same policy and procedures in place for that. They also approved the purchase of new vehicles for the street department, including plows, so that they could replace ones that have gotten old and work towards being able to do more of the plowing through the department. And then the utility board met last week, 2 weeks ago, last week. And they gave an update on a few projects, but there wasn't a lot going on because of the weather. They did approve the budget that I believe we've seen as well as part of the rate increase updates and things that we've been talking about. And so it was a fairly quick meeting as far as that went. I'm double checking my notes here. Give me 1 second. And I'm pretty sure that's all that went on. I know we'll have more discussion about the rate increase when we get to that here in just a minute. So I think that was it as far as committees went. We did not have another Public Works Committee meeting, but we did have some updates to the alley ordinance that are being worked on with some feedback. And so we will, once we get another draft to look at, we'll call another committee meeting on that ordinance.
Great, thank you so much. Any other committee reports? Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business. General Ordinance 30-2025, amending monthly water user rates, third reading.
An ordinance amending the monthly water user rates and charges for the city of Marion, Indiana. Introducing an ordinance to adopt water rates and charges sufficient to support the utility's ongoing revenue requirements and obligations under Indiana Code 8-1.5-3-8. Speaking, Robin Schrader, Director of Marion Utilities.
Good evening, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, or perhaps putting up with me over and again. I'll just kind of briefly review. I know we've talked about this the previous two meetings, but in 2005, there was a rate increase that favored large users because the cost per unit decreased as quantity used increased. Then recently in 2023, we had a rate increase, but we were unable to consider the second year of record-setting inflation following COVID. That rate increase was to be implemented in 5 phases. October of 23, January of 25, January of 26, January 27, and January of 28. It was designed to change the rate structure so that all customers will pay the same price per unit regardless of water quantity used. And that's been done, and on January 1 of 26, we're set to enter phase 3 of that rate increase. But our present situation, that rate increase did not, it increased revenues, but not enough to create a margin to cover increases in operating costs or allow for a buildup of depreciation funds to cover capital improvement projects. And if you'll recall, we've discussed that we haven't had the ability to do capital improvement projects for approximately 10 years because we had been using those funds and burning up that margin that we had. We also increased our debt service by borrowing $1.8 million earlier this year from wastewater to cover the deficit in operating expenses that we have. That's a temporary basis, of course, because that $1.8 million from wastewater is money that is earmarked for long-term control plan mandates, so that has to be returned. We're up against a little bit of a timeline as well because we face a penalty from the IURC of reduced rates if additional debt service is not in place by the end of this year. And that's according to the 2023 rate case agreement. So some details of the request that we're making, and again, this is a petition to request, or request to petition the IURC rather, for a rate increase of 44.24% above the Phase 3 amount of the 2023 rate increase. That's equivalent to 24.98% increase over what has already been approved. The impact to the average residential customers would be approximately $6 to $8 a month. So not astronomical. You hear 44%, that sounds really incredible, but $6 to $8 a month would be an average customer's increase. Marion Utilities rate will still remain almost $25 a month cheaper than communities that are serviced by privately owned utilities, specifically Indiana American Water. I believe we were able to share those rates with you earlier. There is a consideration for pilot in this request that would equate to $264,642 annually. That could be a contribution to the city's budget, and that is included. And the need for this rate increase is based on the water usage requirements of our current customers and is a means for compensating for some things, making up for 10 years of not doing this, and is completely independent of any economic prospects which may be considering Marion as a location. So with that, I'll take any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Robin. I also want to thank you for meeting with me and answering all the questions that I had sent you. But at this time, I'll open up to the council members. If they have questions, anything they'd like to say. Councilman Calgill.
I kind of feel bad for you because I know you kind of inherited this, but it is what it is, and you have to deal with it now. There's just got to be more oversight. I mean, there's got to be, not having balanced budget for 10 years and some of the rate increases on raises that are just flat. We're given this every year, no matter what. Unfortunately, we're not in that world that we can just do that. I mean, we didn't give any of our city employees raises this year just because of, our worry about our impact with Senate Bill 1. And I know the 15 or whatever years it was of not rate increases. That's kind of what brought this to where we're at now. It doesn't help now. And the data, I understand the data, but man, how we got here is just, I just think that, and what you said in I don't know if it was our last one or the one before, where you're going to come to is once a year, and we need to be more involved with this. We need to the financial advisory, I think, need to be worked a little bit more. And I think, the board has got to start paying attention to this stuff. I feel like that's just my opinion. I don't know how anybody else feels, but this is a tough one. But yeah, we got to deal with what we got to deal with.
Yeah, and if I might respond just real quickly to that, just kind of as a point of clarification, those cost of living increases, it's not an automatic assumption. It's every year we committed to consider that, and at the rate of the national cost of living increase. So it does still have to get approved through the budget. So it's not necessarily an automatic. It is something that we promise to consider each year.
I understand that. and we are kind of work the same way with the city. We consider it every year. We negotiate with unions for raises. We negotiate, or the mayor can decide working with the controller's office. So, but when you're in dire need and you have depleted your money and there's no money, to me, it doesn't make sense to give that cost of living raise that year. To me, that's just bad business. I've owned several businesses, and I can't, if my budget is $100,000, I can't spend over that $100,000. And if that means my employees don't get raises and I don't make a profit that year, then I don't. That's just, that's why I should have clarified that a little better. Thank you for saying that.
council members.
Mr. President, to piggyback on that, Robin, you've got a hard job. You've inherited a hard job, and you've inherited literally a mess. And I think this council is between a rock and a hard place to make you guys solvent. But it seems the utility board, you know, in 2 years, in 2023 and 2024, if you add salary increases over those 2 years, it's 21% in 2 years. It's like, wow, that's big bucks. It's a tune of $370,000, really, in 2 years. The majority of this, it just feels like this council is bailing the utilities out for careless spending and careless raises. You've got a lot of people, and you know, we're looking at salaries. You've got several people that, you know, make more than our mayor. You've got executive secretaries that are making over $95,000 a year. It's pretty good monies. I don't think you see that in the real world in Grant County, Indiana. And I think they need to. The board needs to look at their spending. Christmas parties that cost $15,000 and $16,000 for a Christmas party. When you're in dire straits, I think you need to look at that. I don't think you need to look at the council, this council, as somebody to bail the utilities out, but that's where we're at. And if we don't do this, like I said, we're between a rock and a hard place, and if we don't do this, the utilities become insolvent. And the last thing that we want is a private company to come in and take over, because our water rates would double very quickly. So I don't have an answer. Those are my comments, though. I wish I had a better answer of what we could do to solve the issue other than a water rate increase, because there's some people that can't afford $6 or $8 a month. That adds up. That's $6 or $8. That's just one utility, and so all of a sudden you've got electricity, you've got whatever, and everybody says, well, it's only $5 or $6 a month. Well, all of a sudden it's real money when you've got increases of $50, $60, $75 a month when everything is added together. So I think we have to be very, very careful, and I would urge the utility board to really critique their spending habits. Thank you.
Mr. President, I did have one other.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. What was the raise for 26 that you guys, what was the cost of living raise that was approved? I don't have that with me. I'm sorry.
For 2026?
Yes.
I believe it was 2.8.
Okay, is that something that has already been, like, could we approve this and possibly not with that raise for next year, or how does that?
That was part of the budget approval process that took place 2 weeks ago. If I might respond to some of those things, though, the Christmas party, I did provide you guys, President McKinley had asked for those numbers, but I also gave you numbers that indicate that almost half of that money is made up in donations from the employees that go back into the community. So for the things that the utility is providing in terms of benefits for our employees, the employees are giving back as well. Much of that is coming from automatic donations that they volunteer from their paychecks. And with regard to the wage situation, I think, I can't speak to the city's wages and how all that works. I'm just completely unfamiliar with how that works. But we regularly refer to the AWWA, which is American Water Works Association, wage studies. And I have a copy of the most recent one. It's the 2025 version I brought with me. And when we're looking at industry comparisons, in all fairness, our wages are below the minimums in 14 of 37 categories, and most of the rest of those are below the average. So in other words, what we're up against in terms of hiring appropriate and qualified workers is that they have the ability to go anywhere else, almost anywhere else, and make more money doing the exact same job. And so that is one thing that does set us apart in some fashion, as well as the certifications and the specialized training, just because we have to adhere to all of the local, state, and federal parameters, of which there are many, many. And that does require a certain level of commitment from our employees that I think warrants the salaries that we have provided. I'm happy to, it's a big study and it's in print version, but I'm happy to share that with anyone who would like to see those numbers. I've got it earmarked with the comparisons of our wages.
And I applaud you, Robin, for sticking up for your employees. You should. I expect you to do. That's what a good leader does. But it's to kind of go with what you just said, like our public safety, some of our city employees' positions have been the lowest paid in the state for over 20 years. So we deal with that as well. But we still have to go by what money we have, whether we can afford the raises or not. And that's why we lose a lot of police officers, firefighters, other city employees to other towns. So I understand what you're saying, but I do applaud you for, to me, it's just why you're in that role.
And I will say I stand corrected on the Christmas party monies. So if the employees are helping out with that, certainly appreciate that. And if that's not coming all out of the taxpayers' funds, then that's a different story. I stand corrected.
Yeah, it doesn't go directly to the Christmas party, but it's an offset for what we're providing back to the community. Yeah, thank you.
Vice President Fordyce.
Good evening, Robin. Welcome to the den of the lair. I have just a couple issues that I'd like to go over real quick, and I know that this has probably came into consideration for a long time, and I know we used to do a pilot with the utilities years and years ago, but I do realize also that was because we had 12 additional factories that were running full boat, and you guys had the access and the extra capital to be able to do that in reserves. So I guess my big deal is, what would the percentage rate be if we didn't consider the pilot for the $264,642? I'm sure you've got that somewhere, because I've kind of raised that issue before. And the reason I'm saying that is because, you know, the state legislator and the governor went on this campaign to lower property taxes. And it hurt our budget considerably. But I can't foresee putting that off on the rate users to compensate our budget because of our shortfall, that we should hit the rate users to compensate for that $264,000 pilot. You know, that's going to be a monthly charge, and on the average, I think it came out to $300 to $400 of savings on property taxes when Senate Bill 1 came into effect. But with this pilot, and I'm sure that it was more back years ago. I've seen the figures of 400,000 and this and that, but if you're going to add an additional percentage for the $264,642 to compensate our shortfall from Senate Bill 1, what is the percentage of that in the rate increase for the users?
I see Jennifer scribbling behind
Sure,
me to calculate that, but I believe in our previous discussions that it was just shy of about 5%.
5%.
Yeah. So in other words, instead of the 44.24%, it would be closer to So it's 5% less. Yeah, right at 5% less. So it would be more like,
About 4%. It'd be 20.85%
okay, yeah.
instead of the 25%.
Yeah, so it would make a difference of about 5%.
And I also see in your presentation that that was a consideration.
Yes, that's a consideration. That is not something that we would have to do.
But it's factored into the percentage on the increase on
It
the
is factored
water.
into that 44.24% includes that increase for pilot consideration. But if we, that's something we do not have to take to the IURC. We can remove that language and we could reduce that by that 5%.
Well, that wouldn't be totally up to me, but I would be for that. I don't think that the rate user needs to compensate for that every month. But that's just my opinion. Also, I know that Jennifer said that we would vacate the last two phases of the 5-phase raises that we had initially approved.
Yeah, we would accelerate them. And so essentially, once the IURC has made its determination, we would essentially jump ahead of that. And so those things have already been approved. And then without the pilot consideration, that would be another 20 and some change % on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Is that on top of the 15.41% that we?
That's correct.
Correct?
That's correct.
So you're looking at 36.26% instead of the 44.24?
It's closer to the 40. Yeah, okay, Jennifer says it's the way that it's compounded.
Okay. I thought on the last meeting that we had, Jennifer said that you would vacate the last two phases of the
Yeah,
increase. So if you vacate them, you're not accelerating them.
well, I'm not sure where the word vacate came from. The accelerate was the intention of that.
So you wouldn't vacate the last two raises for 27 and 28?
We would not conduct them in 27 and 28. We would put them into place along with the additional upon the approval of the IURC.
I see.
You would move them ahead.
We move them ahead. Yeah.
Okay. I thought I heard vacate at the last meeting.
Sorry, some semantics there. I can't imagine being confused over these numbers.
Okay. And this is just, the IURC could come back and agree or disagree with this, correct?
Yes, I'm not familiar with them ever coming back and saying something higher than what we've asked for or
No.
what a community has asked for. Oftentimes, they will find places to pull back in some fashion. But they're kind of performing the function of a second opinion because this is what they do day in and day out for other communities all across the state. And so this is what they continuously look at repeatedly.
And ultimately, when they come back, you still have to come to us for final approval on the rate increase.
Yeah, consider that like a true-up situation. So for example, if this is approved tonight to go forward, it almost functions as a not to exceed. We approve it not to exceed this amount, and then the true-up is just to make sure that the ordinance properly records the amount that the IURC has actually approved.
So you do have to come back to us for
We
approval
would have to come
on the
back for
rate-
that.
rate
That's not what
increase.
Section 3 of the ordinance says. It says the rates and charges herein shall be established in the amount approved by the commission and implemented without further action from the council.
So this would be a definite rate increase automatically?
Yeah, I've got a problem with how this ordinance is worded with what you're saying. It doesn't
Okay.
match up.
I stand corrected on that. It's been our practice in the past to come back and just make that announcement in front of the council.
I didn't find any procedure that allows this council, after this is done, to come back and reduce the rates. That's my other problem here. So it appears that this is final and can't be undone without going through another process altogether.
Or if it's voted down,
I'm sorry?
or if it's voted down.
That's the other way.
Yeah. And I'm going to have to take myself personally, I'm going to take the blame for not being more involved with the board, basically the board, because ultimately they're the ones that have to help, control these costs, raises, being in the black or red, one or the other, which has been the red ever since I've been on the council. So, I'm going to take part of the blame because I'm not attentive enough, number one, at the meetings or speaking with the board of directors to see why they're making these decisions and not keeping everything on an even keel. But I'm going to take the blame for that because I should be more involved in that and be at the meetings and talk to, because we have 3 that are appointed from the council and 4 from the mayor. So I think it's really important for me to be more involved so we don't get surprised, I guess, from my point of view, on stuff like this. So, which I'm sure you're in the same boat because this was handed to you, but I'm going to take a little bit of blame that I'm not communicating with the board or our elected officials or appointed officials to that board to see that some of this stuff doesn't take place and we get in this situation anymore. So I appreciate all your information and your hard work and bringing this to us, Rob. Thank you. That's all I have.
Other council members? I'll just add a few things. Again, appreciate your time and explaining everything. I think we've got two separate silos of issues here. We have what's happened for the last 10 plus years for dwindling cash reserves. Then I also think there's the second silo is decision making the last 2 to 3 years on wages and increases that are controllable. I understand that supplies may be out of our hand, but the decision from the board to just go ahead and go along with the COLA, that was a decision. That was a controllable. And I understand you want to give your employees raises and increases, but if a board looks at the financials and sees we're out of cash reserves and then still goes on to give a near 20% raise within 2 years, I have a major problem with that. It's no different than what we're dealing with at the city. And again, you're in a position that you got to take care of employees, but this is a board that is responsible for making these decisions. And so I think it was a poor decision looking at the financials, having no cash reserves to within 2 years do a 20% raise, knowing that you're going in debt. I would hope that Crow would advise that maybe that wasn't a wise decision. Looking at that, reading some of the minutes from those meetings, I don't really see anyone raising a lot of concern. So I'm having a hard time chewing this one with the wage increases. I understand the situation that's occurred over the last 10 years where cash reserves were dwindled, but there's a board and a director involved. I know you've been in it for 2 years, Robin. You were the assistant before that. I do have a question. So when it comes to the executive director's employment, who makes the decision? Who votes to hire, like in your position? Is it the board?
That's our board, correct.
Is it a annual vote contract? How does that look? And the reason I ask is that if the board, which as the oversight, which that's the board's job, has the decision to hire and maybe fire if for 10 years they saw these cash reserves dwindling and putting the utilities in such a dire position, then where were they on who was the director and who was in charge? Because if they disagreed or dissented on that decision for dwindling the cash reserves, where was the uproar? Where was the, well, then we're going to hold you accountable. No different than a corporation and the board that hires and fires a CEO. If a CEO is not performing for shareholders, whoever, the CEO is out because that board votes them out. And so I believe a lot of this falls at the feet of the board members, whether they were the ones at the time or now, collectively. If the power is in the board to hire and fire and the power is in the board to approve these wages, that was their decision. Now, I get they might be going off of a recommendation from consultants or maybe one person or two people on the board that they look up to or maybe have more experience. But this is a hard one. It's a hard one to support because at the end of the day, you know, $6 to $8 is $6 to $8. And when we come back and look at other utilities, it all starts adding up. And I have to be able to look at our citizens and go with good conscience that I voted for this rate increase because things that were uncontrolled. But if things are able to be controlled, then that should have been controlled from day one. And I think it's just cumulative things that have added up to get to us where we're at. And then the council's put in a position basically to go pony up or else. Pony up, or we're going to have a rate decrease because of this bond that we have. I mean, really, what kind of position does that put us in? Not a good one at all, and it's not comfortable for anyone that has to make this decision. So, as far as the pilot that Vice President Fortes brought up, that one I go back and forth on. If there's a way we can mitigate a rate increase, I'm all for it. But on the flip side, utilities charges the city. Marion Utilities is City of Marion. It really is. If you drive by, it says City of Marion. It's Marion Utilities. But we get charged for water and sewer, and we get, so I get you still have to pay to take care of the water and to process this. But when it comes to the pilot, I view the pilot as the City of Marion recouping its expenses on what we're paying for all those utilities. I think it was $170,000 we paid in water and sewer, I believe, to utilities. And so I view this as a way to recoup that back to the city and to the taxpayers, and then that money can be used for the taxpayers as well. But it's a tough one there. I'm not sure where I stand on the pilot. I see the pros and the cons to it, but that's my opinion, and I'm having a really hard time with the wage increases. If you came to us and said cost of supplies has gone up, et cetera, I don't think we would have a long discussion about this. But as I said at the last meeting, that $740,000 to chew off for the wage increases, which wage increases are more than just paychecks, because once wages increase 20%, then your perf increases, your Social Security, or all those other, the FICA, all that stuff goes up with it. And so you're really, when you get a raise, the people that are funding that raise are actually paying more than what you actually got. And so knowing that they were getting a 20% raise should have also flagged, oh, not only are we doing a 20% raise, but we're doing a 20% here, and here, and those numbers add up to the $740,000. So, Councilman Klein.
Yeah, thank you. First, I don't like the idea of the pilot, and the idea of recoup. We ought to pay our bills just like everybody else. I don't like the idea of the pilot. And I'm sorry you're in this position. To me, it's the people who were supposed to do the oversight didn't oversee, and drove the bus into a dead end. But I have a question. I hope this isn't a different can of worms, and forgive me if it is, all y'all. What effect does Senate Bill 1 gonna have on utilities?
Honestly, I'm not sure, because we are funded by ratepayers and not the taxes. It's a little bit different for us in that capacity, but there will probably be some secondary impacts that come at us from different places, but it won't be as direct of a hit as it will be for the city's budget.
All right, I was just curious because it seems to have its tentacles in a lot of things. I figured I'd ask.
Well, and we may still find out some of those things as we go as well.
I'll also add, no matter what the decision ends up being today, I do just want to make a message very clear to those that are on the board or maybe future to be appointed to the board that the expectation for board members is absolute oversight and recommendations. If there's a concern, this is a paid position as well. Let me remind you, this utility board position is a paid position. So there's a little bit higher level of expectation. This isn't volunteer. You're getting paid to be there to make decisions that dramatically affect the day-to-day lives of our citizens.
And they got a raise.
And we gave them a raise last year, a very subtle, slight one that was hardly even noticeable. But not knowing what was coming. If I'd have known what was coming, I probably would have voted no on that. So I just want to make sure, and I'll communicate that to the council's appointees as well. I will follow up and just set my expectation as one council member of oversight and recommendation. Again, I echo what some other council members said, Robin, and I think you've handled this pressure well. I know you kind of stepped into this, and so I'm not putting it at your feet. But at the end of the day, this is the position you're in, and I appreciate all the data you gave us. I just have a hard time how we got to getting this data, and that was in lieu of those 20% pay increases. That's all I have. Any other council members? Councilwoman Devine?
What is I guess I was also under the understanding that we could move forward and have this rate reviewed and see what the state came back to. Now that Attorney Harker's pointed out that section in the ordinance, that does concern me where this becomes an automatic approval, because I know that was always my thought, was we were going to get that information back and could then review what they felt their review of the budget is. That's all they do. That's all the IURC does, is run these numbers and look at that, and I think that's a solid information to get. But is this something that if we kick that section out, we can keep moving forward, or does that substantially change it where it starts the process again?
I don't know the answer to that. What I've found so far is not promising, though. It appears the two ways to address lowering rates are first to opt out of the IURC altogether, and then you just have local control. Or you have to go back through a petition and a public hearing process, much like we did here, in order to change the rates. So I don't know that the ordinance can be amended to accomplish what the goals are. That's my biggest fear, is I'm not finding a statutory mechanism to support that.
So Marty, you're saying we can't amend this ordinance?
I think you can, but not in the way that Ms. Devine is suggesting, unfortunately.
But we can change the rate, the percentage rate, on amending this, what was presented to us.
Oh, yes. Yes, yeah, oh, yes, you can do that.
Okay, thank you.
But as far as the overall, anything, yes, you can do.
Thanks.
It's my understanding, and I've read some of the cases that get brought before the IURC, that this ordinance becomes part of the review of evidence or part of the hearing that the IURC looks at. So this is a piece of the puzzle on top of the data that's provided. Am I correct? That's the way I've read through some of these hearings at the IURC.
Yeah, that's correct.
And so I believe, my understanding is the IORC will take definite consideration on whatever rate the council were to approve. I don't think that stops the utilities from asking for a higher rate.
Well, the decision that comes from the council will be what we are approaching the IURC with.
Which I appreciate that clarity. And what I was saying was that they could ask for more, but I think the IORC is probably going to look at what their local elected body, which is the council, approved. So I'm just saying that because you can present any kind of a case to the IURC, but their job is to take in consideration part of it, what the council approves, amongst all the other data that's provided. So just wanted to at least give that info.
So I guess the other thing that I need to clarify is that this has always been said, but I've never heard an amount. It says that the pilot will be paid in lieu of taxes. So what are your taxes if you don't pay the pilot? What taxes are you talking about?
Let me let Jennifer address that for you.
Okay.
It's just a terminology. It's called payment in lieu of taxes, so payment instead of taxes. And we calculate it by using the formula that's been set out for us on what we think the assets of the water utility
Sure.
times the corporate tax rate.
Okay.
So it's just a formality of what it's called.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
I'd like to add, I mean, the purpose, as a council, we could vote to opt out of the IURC, but that would be a detrimental decision. One of the main functions that the state allows us to use it for is they're generally the experts. They see all the cases from around the state. This council seems to be digging in pretty well and getting the data, but that doesn't mean other councils do. And so the IURC, if you go through the IURC, essentially it's a confidence check from your rate users or your the rate payers, shall I say, that this has been looked through pretty heavily, and that's why we've opted in to have things reviewed by the IURC. You could have it just come through the council, but that puts a huge burden on the council to make sure that the information they're getting is accurate and true, but you also don't have a chance to compare it to what other cities are doing as well. Councilman Klein.
So do I understand then that we cannot amend Section 3 to perhaps read, the rates and charges herein shall be established in the amount approved by the commission and implemented with approval from the council, period. The rates will be implemented after issuance of a final commission order and council approval for a new tariff reflecting the council's approved rates. We would not be able to make that simple amendment? And if not, why not?
Yeah, it's not that the amendment is difficult. You spelled out correctly how you can do it. The problem is I don't think that the utility code section allows for that. I think that it has to go through the IURC, and that once they make that determination, that the council loses its authority to set that.
So this section is basically their boilerplate? Okay.
That's what my fear is. And so I don't know that we have the authority to change that. I mean, we could change it if we want. I wouldn't. You're running the risk of, I wouldn't want to run afoul of the IURC at this point, because that's another reason, something else they could hold against us. So that's the concern that I have.
Yeah, the IURC is the final regulatory termination on rates.
So the information that we were given that we would have one more approval cycle is not true then?
I've yet to find that.
Okay.
I'll just say that with the 2023 rate increase, I know that we brought that number back to the council, and I'd have to look back at the minutes and see exactly what that was. I don't recall it going through the first, second, third reading scenario, so it could have been just that announcement part that said this is what they came up with. I would have to look back and see the records on that.
I would want an opinion from your council on that as well.
Yeah, we can absolutely nail that down.
So could I get a concrete rate percentage without the pilot from Jennifer? I thought 36.26, but she said it's compounded, so
Well, I don't
know
have
how
it with the
she's compounded.
So we had been presenting to you accelerated, the other rate increases, and then another 24.98% on top of that. And when I did my calculation back there, it would reduce, that 24.98 would reduce down to 20.85.
20.85?
Yeah.
And right, and that's on top of the 15.41 that
The accelerated, yes.
that we had.
Yes.
So that would be 36.26%.
You have to take the 15, and then you have to take the 15 times 20%. So it ends up being a little, when you compound it, so like, okay, for example, if you have $1 and you're raising it 15%, you have $1.15. If you raise that additional 20%, it's different than just raising it by 36.
Sure, because you're figuring it off the $1.15, I get it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So could I have a percent?
That I would have to actually do some number crunching for you on that one.
Because you can't come up with a percentage on that because a compound?
Well, I need to go, I'd be conservative giving you a wrong number here in front of the council.
Okay, so we couldn't take 5% off the 44.24?
That's possible, but I would want to confirm that, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
I'd like to add on to that. So is it possible to formulate what that rate increase would be without the approved pay increase for this year as well, the 2.8?
I can include that in the calculation as well, sir.
Just been nice to know those numbers.
That's already been approved. Budget's already been approved.
That doesn't matter. Doesn't mean we have to approve the rate.
Well, that's
Yep.
true.
So I have an additional question through all this, especially going back to 2023, 2024, and we're talking this 20 and 21% pay increase. With Crow as their financial advisor, does Crow step in and say, guys, you can't afford this? Do you ever make that recommendation back to the board, since you're the financial advisor over the utilities?
Yeah, so as our contract as rate consultant is pretty much a historical looking backwards and looking what management wants to do going forward with operating. So no, that is not part of our purview of what we do, of evaluating each expense. That is not part of the job, no.
Do you help them create or try to create a balanced budget?
That is not part of our job, no.
Okay.
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
I haven't spoken yet. I'm rather confused. There's no way we can just say, you're not going to get this raise? I mean, I think everybody that has spoken is highly upset about this, but we're virtually being told, so be it. Whether you're upset or not, you're going to have to pay it. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I appreciate that, Councilman Brunner, but at the end of the day, we do have the authority to say yes or no. And if this voted yes, then they would move forward with the IURC. If they voted no, I don't know if they could continue with the IURC, but they probably don't have a case. And so at that point, They would have to come up with other mechanisms to figure out how to pay for these additional expenses or cut expenses is essentially the paths that I see that could be taken.
Is there anybody else that is on our payroll that is getting a 20% pay increase?
Nobody at the city, nobody in City Hall.
Just wanted to make sure that point was made.
Could I clarify that increase just a little bit?
Go ahead.
The information that I had sent to you guys so in 2023, the increase in salaries and wages came in at 11.72%. The circumstance that happened there, I was asked the question, we had just filed with the IURC for the 2023 rate increase. But then we got hit with a record-setting inflation year, and I believe the cost of living increase that year was somewhere around 8.7, 8.6. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was pretty high. As the board and the utility leadership looked at what that 2023 rate increase was promising, at the end of that, there was not at that time a concern for whether or not that would be manageable. And as we were already in progress with that, there wasn't an opportunity to go ahead and go backwards on that. The additional percentage increase on top of that created the 11.72 is accounted for with merit increases. Employees have a certain range that they fall into based on their job description, and then there are a possibility of 8 steps. We cap out at the end of 8 years. So if you're in the same position for 8 years, at the end of that, there are no more merit increase opportunities. If an increase occurs at all, it would only be cost of living at that point. And so that's why there was a tremendous jump that there was. But if you see the others were not quite the same, and we've based those again on cost of living, and actually our adjusted test year and the end of year 2025 are considerably lower. So those things have been taken into consideration, but again, going back to if we want quality people producing a quality product for the city of Marion, that does come at a price, because my fear is that if we don't take good care of our employees, that they could meander off to other communities. The other part of that is this is a small percentage, comparatively speaking, to the rest of the request. And the primary chunk of problem that we're dealing with here is a lack of ability to put back into our structure, our infrastructure, those capital improvement plans. And that's the bulk of what we're looking at here. So I want to make sure that we're focusing, that we're majoring on the majors when we see the problem has occurred when we spent down those depreciation funds over a 10-year period without putting anything back into capital improvement. The biggest need that we have is for those capital improvement projects to go forward once again. The 2023 rate increase did allow us to do some of those. In the process, we incurred debt to do that. That was wrapped into there. But as Jennifer has said as well, the IURC does do a good job of comparing us to everybody else in the state, and they know what they're looking for even more so than we do. But they can only look backwards. And so, if we put this into motion now, and then the economy changes dramatically over the next 6 months, there's still something there that we can't account for. So just bear that in mind as you're thinking through these things as well.
And I appreciate that statement, and that's why those board positions are even more important, because they in real time every year can make decisions on spending, raises, et cetera, that is predictive based on cash flow, cash reserves. If the city of Marion, I wish we could give all of our city employees a 20% raise over 2 years. We did 10 last year, and we still managed to barely squeak through a balanced budget. But if we did a 20%, I would love to do that. But at some point, we would run out of money, and we probably wouldn't be sitting here anymore. And essentially that's kind of what's happened over the last 10 years is those cash reserves were dwindled. But I go back to, if we know the cash reserves were dwindled, why did we approve, or why did the board approve a nearly 20% raise in a 2-year period? And maybe wait until this rate increase, the staggered rate increase was completed, to see where you guys were financially. And looking at these income statement highlights that were given several times to us, in 2023 at the end of the year, the loss for water utility was $832,718. So if the board saw that you were losing $832,000 a year, why then would they come back and or approve a $157,748 increase just in wages? And then, of course, you have the perf and everything else that goes up with that. I just don't understand why that decision was made. And then the second year after that, 2024, took another loss of $260,693, and then they approved $132,913 and wage increase, knowing that we're still depleting our cash reserves. I just don't understand that decision making. And when you're bleeding money out and you're just going to accelerate the bleeding, and then come to the council and go, here, fix this for us now. We've already spent the money, so the facts are there and the data's there. Now that we have the data to support our rate increase and accelerating that, it's too late now. We already gave the raises, but now we're going to go to the council and say, too late, the data's here, the money's spent. You either approve it or you don't. And if you don't, we're going to crumble and our infrastructure is going to crumble. That's not fair to us, but that's really not fair to our ratepayers to go, sorry, you're going to shoulder the $6 to $8 a month increase because of the mismanagement of money and water utilities. It's just not fair. I have a hard time looking at people that have to pay that $6 to $8 and go, don't worry, we saved it, but on your back.
Well, and I don't disagree with you, but again, I would go back to the things that have happened in the past. I can only testify to the protests that I heard and the arguments against those very things that I heard. I don't know what other factors were at play. There was different leadership at the city, there was different leadership at the utility, and quite frankly, we don't have the ability to go backwards and make those fixes. Unfortunately, we are where we are today, and I have committed to you guys the previous 2 occasions, and I will reaffirm this, that I will be more present in front of this council with the numbers and the facts, at least once or possibly twice a year, based on preferences that you have, to try and remedy these things going forward, because those are the options that we have. You and I can sit and talk and lament the past and all evening long, and there's a manner of justification for that, but at the same time, the productivity is in moving forward and in trying to make amends for the future that we can't for the past.
I had one more thing, and I've kind of spoken not in favor of a lot of this. The one thing I do understand is the politics that's gone on in the past. I've been on the council 2 years now, but I do understand and I'm aware of the politics that took place in the past, where previous directors in your role have sought after rate increases with the council and have been told, election year, sorry, can't do it. And so I do understand that. And this utility should never be an election game, a politic game. What the expenses are should be met. And so I do understand it wasn't 100% utilities. It was a unique dynamic in the city for quite some time with different mayor, different council, different makeup of the board, different council presidents, and I'm not pointing fingers at one person or another. I know of one specific incident. I'm not going to say who and how, where the request was shot down because of politics. So that I will address and acknowledge that. And I'm sorry that our city has experienced that. In fact, that's what motivated me to run, because I got tired of it. I got tired of the politics. So I appreciate you sharing all this, and I have nothing else to say. Any other council members?
I just have one more thing to say. Inevitably, we've got to fix this, and we've got to help the water department. But I would entertain to reduce that 44.24% by 5%. Correct.
So would that be, just for my own clarification, so I make sure we get our paperwork correct, you're saying the 44.24% minus the pilot consideration?
Correct.
Okay.
If you could give me a percentage on that?
Yeah, it would be safer to do away with the pilot than actually name a number there.
Well, that just gives them an extra $264,000. I'd rather reduce the rate for the ratepayer. Yeah. So if it would be considerable to just take 5% off the 44.24%, I would work with that. If your financial advisor's got, and we could put this to rest.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to call that a flat percent, or if you want to call it removing the pilot, either, you know, as long as the language is clear, we will follow the council's recommendation on that, whatever that would be.
Any other council people got any comments on that? We just reduce the...
I would remove the pilot. I would make a motion to remove the pilot and not give a specific percentage amount.
Do the flat pilot number, and the percentage will take care of itself.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to say, yeah.
I would entertain any other additional thoughts or comments on that. I just don't think the ratepayer needs to have to pay that additionally.
Any other council members on that? So are you presenting a motion? Could you spell out your motion for the minutes in the record?
I would make a motion to pass General Ordinance 30-2025, amending the monthly water usage, removing the $264,642 of pilot.
Annually.
Annually, correct.
To whatever percent that comes out.
Yes.
So we got a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Yes.
So I have a motion by Vice President Fordyce, second by Councilman Klein.
Yeah, but just to be safe, will you restate the motion?
Go ahead.
I would make the motion to pass General Ordinance 30-2025, amending monthly water user rates, third reading, minus the $264,642 annually pilot fee to the city.
Still good with your second?
Yes, yeah.
So the second by Councilman Klein. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk?
Kane,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
No. The amendment passes. Any other discussion? If not, is there a motion on the floor? Oh, I thought it was just the amendment. Okay, well then the motion passes then. Okay. Sirs, that's okay. That was my final vote anyways, so. Okay, motion passes. General Ordinance 30-2025 passes. Third reading. Moving on to General Ordinance 31-2025, ordinance amending order of business, second reading and public hearing.
An ordinance of the Marion Common Council amending order of business on the Marion City Council agenda. The purpose of this ordinance is to consolidate the community spotlight and the city employee spotlight on the council agenda down to just recognition spotlight. Speaking, Council President Nick McKinley.
I think the executive summary speaks for itself. Just consolidating from 2 spotlights down to 1, and it's kind of just a general spotlight that we can spotlight either city employees, dispatchers, Marion utility employees, community spotlights. It's just kind of all-inclusive. So, any council members with input on that? Agreement, disagreement? Okay. If not, I'd like to go to public hearing. So if you'd like to speak on this, please make your way to the microphone. Not seeing anyone make their way to the microphone, we'll go and close the public hearing. And if there's no other discussion from the council, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the rules on General Ordinance number 31, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Kane to suspend the rules, a second by Councilman Brunner. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, rules have been suspended. Any other motion?
Mr. President, I move that we pass General Ordinance number 31, 2025.
Second.
A motion to pass General Ordinance 31-2025 by Councilman Kane, a second by Councilman Brunner. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane.
Aye.
Fordyce.
Aye.
Brunner.
Aye.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine.
Yes.
Cowgill.
Yes.
McKinley.
Yes, General Ordinance 31-2025 has passed. I appreciate the council supporting that. Moving on to new business, General Ordinance 32-2025, Economic Development Commission Ordinance, first reading.
An ordinance of the Common Council of the City of Marion amending the City of Marion Code of Ordinances. The City of Marion previously created the Marion Economic Development Commission. The commission assists the city in financing economic development facilities through the issuance of economic development revenue bonds. While the commission has been a longstanding body of the city, their enabling authorities have never been codified into the city's municipal code of ordinances. Additionally, the city would like to increase the number of commissioners from 3 to 5, as is permitted by Indiana law, to meet the growing demands of the commission. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell, Jr.
Good evening and welcome.
Well, welcome, Council. I have to say I missed you all so much. I haven't presented anything in such a long time. It feels really good to be back in this seat. So with the EDC, they basically oversee every single economic development deal we do in the city. And right now, it's currently a member of a board of 3 people and trying to get a quorum for all the, we do a lot of projects right now, if you haven't noticed. So that means this board is way more active than what it has been in almost 20 years. So getting a quorum with only 3 people can be very challenging. So what we're looking to do is expand this board per Indiana code from 3 people to 5 people, and also get this this board codified in our code for the first time. So that's what this is. The lawyers aren't here, so if you ask me some legalese stuff, I might have to dance around a little bit, but from a high level, that's what we're looking to do.
Appreciate that, Mayor. Council members with questions? Vice President Fordyce.
So I take it that you appoint the 3 people on the commission now?
No, actually I don't. You guys get 1, the county gets 1, and I get 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So on the other 2, who's going to appoint those?
By state law, it's the mayor's office.
So you're going to have majority.
You know, I mean, again, I work with you guys and I trust you guys. I'm willing to make concessions if you want to split it, however you want to do, how you want to do that, you know. But this is not me trying to just control them.
We're not doing very good with boards right now, so we might have to appoint one. We need an additional ally.
In my defense, if you ever want to address how the utility board is appointed, you know, it's very staggered, so it's very hard to have control of that board. We can have that conversation another time.
So are these paid positions?
No.
These are all volunteer?
Correct.
How often do they meet, Mayor?
Right now on just an as-call basis, which the as-call basis is pretty frequent.
Mm-hmm.
Just so you know, the council's appointee is Chris Oliver. He's been on for quite a while.
And even if you look at that, even in state law for this EDC, it's really staggered really weirdly. So I'll get one person that only has 1 year, and then another person I get has 3 years. So it's a interesting setup.
Yeah. And this commission has never been codified. Even with our new attorney, that was codifying.
We're
And
catching
stopping
up.
ordinances and everything because they weren't codified.
Yeah.
And now this one isn't codified.
Yeah, so this is one of those things I think probably just flew under the radar for so long because, again, it's a board that is not a frequent flyer until you need it for something specific. So now we're getting to the point where we need it for a whole bunch of things specific all the time, and we're trying to get it cleaned up.
Sure.
Any other questions? Council members? I'll take a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we pass general ordinance.
Microphone.
Mr. President, I move that we pass general ordinance number 32, 2025 to a second reading and public hearing.
Motion by Councilman Kane to pass General Ordinance 32-2025, second reading, public hearing. A second by Councilman Calgill. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Calgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. General Ordinance 32-2025 passes to second reading, public hearing. And moving on to Resolution 16-2025.
A resolution of the Common Council of the City of Marion for end-of-the-year line item transfers. Certain conditions have developed since the adoption of the existing annual 2025 budget. Therefore, it is necessary to transfer appropriations to help departments meet their current needs. Speaking, City Controller Dana Galt.
Good evening and welcome.
Good evening. So yes, we kind of do this every year, and we need to, sorry for the noisy papers. We need to move some appropriations around, not many, just from the Mayor's Fund, the Edit Fund, and the Park non-reverting. I will entertain any questions.
So, Dana, what are the contractual services from the mayor's salaries to contractual services? Who's that for?
Some of the contractual services that he uses.
From the mayor's budget?
Yes.
Do you know for what?
No, I do not know yet.
You don't have
From
any
some of the
idea?
contracts that were that was in 2025 will cross over to 2026, some of the contractual workers.
So this wasn't in his budget, but it's for contractual services?
It is in the budget. It is in his
It's in the
budget.
salary budget. It's not in his contractual service budget. What salaries, where are you taking it from on salaries?
I'm taking it from salaries.
On the mayor, from the mayor's salaries?
Yes.
Okay,
From
what-
salaries to his contractual.
Whose salaries are you taking? What salaries are left over in his budget?
That was the chief of staff's position. So those funds would need to be transferred down to pay for the Barnes and Thornburg that we done.
Okay, thank you. And splash pad from the edit fund to other miscellaneous contractual services, same amount? Is that the same contractor?
Yes, sir.
Barnes and Thornburg?
Some of it, and another portion of it was, we had an increase on the gateway signs that we needed to, I can't remember exactly what it was for. It was the gateway signs. There was a little bit more, it cost a little bit more money, so we just needed to move some money from the splash pad that was budgeted for the splash pad up to the miscellaneous contractual services, other contractual services.
The gateway signs coming into the city?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And park non-reverting?
They purchased a vehicle.
Okay.
Splitting their departments out, so they had extra money in salaries from the splash house moved down.
Okay. So it's $129,504 that we're doing on an extra appropriation?
No, it's not additional appropriation.
I'm sorry, just moving,
Right, moving it from one.
reappropriating.
Correct.
Yes.
Mhm. Yep.
Is that amount correct? 129,504?
Yes. Or 88. And this is, again, something that happens every year, moving money from one appropriation to the other. Actually, this year we only had 3. Last year we had 2 pages full, so it's a lot better this year.
Okay, thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Thank God for my deputy controller.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I move that we pass Resolution Number 16, 2025.
Second.
Motion to pass Resolution 16, 2025 by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Klein. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, Resolution 16, 2025 has passed. Moving on to encumbrances.
A review of the encumbrances for 2025 budget carrying over into 2026. The Controller's Office would like to encumber a portion of this year's budget to be paid for in 2026. All encumbrances have purchase orders, bids, or interlocal agreements where work has begun and will be completed in 2026. Speaking, City Controller Dana Galt.
Yes, good evening again. We do this every year again, the total encumbrances. So we're encumbering some of the work that we have local agreements or bids for 2025, we're encumbering it over to 2026. I will entertain any questions.
Thank you so much. Pretty standard routine at the end of the year. Appreciate you informing us. Any council members with questions? There's no motion needed, but just
Right,
more informative, so.
yes.
Any questions, council members? If not, then we'll move on. Great, thank you so much, appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out till the end. Okay, last but not least, we have the election of city council attorney for 2026, speaking me. This is a standard procedure every year. It's a year-to-year contract for our city council attorney position. Contract has not changed. I sent it to the council earlier. Same pay, same responsibilities, same expectations. Still has a 30-day out clause if one of the parties would like to get out. And we had one application/resume, and that did come from Marty Harker, who's our current city council attorney. We had no other applicants. And I will add that this was posted in the newspaper and also distributed online as well. So normally ask candidates to come up and speak and introduce themselves. But Marty, you don't need to sell us. We still would have to pass and have an overwhelming vote to support you, but you're welcome to share a few words if you'd like.
No, thank you.
Okay, so he's, okay. So,
How many years have you been serving?
Since 2020.
Okay.
It's been a pleasure. I'd like to continue. Thank you.
I will say, it's been a pleasure working with you. A lot of behind the scenes goes into all this, just reviewing ordinances and crafting. I know we've passed a couple this year. These help put together and just be a sounding board, a legal sounding board, at least for me. I know, I just want to remind the council that he is at the service of everybody on the council. So if you ever have questions in the future, if he does stay on next year, you can call him directly. If you want to present your own ordinance, then you're welcome to talk directly to him and put that together. So it's not just the council president that does it. It's the whole council has access to him at any time, so.
Is that including my future divorces, or is that just council stuff?
We'll move on from that. So I would need I would entertain a motion, if somebody would support Mr.
Make a
Harper.
motion that we continue to have Marty Harker serve as our city attorney.
Second?
Motion to retain Mr. Harker again for 2026 as a city council attorney by Councilman Brunner, second by Councilman Kane. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Welcome back, or welcome back next year. So glad to have you. Any other announcements from city council members or the mayor? With no announcements, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a motion to adjourn by Councilman Cowgill, a second by Vice President Fordyce. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Brunner,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Cowgill, McKinley.
Yes, meeting's adjourned. Thank you.